if we look at our agenda for today, we'll see that today we're going to be working on the DISC one-pager in class. So I believe you'll have enough time to complete it in class. If you don't have enough time to complete it in class, it'll take a few more minutes on your own at home to finish it. You have the option to complete the one-pager either on a piece of paper, like doing arts, like using hand drawings. You can do it using a Google Doc, or you can complete your one-pager using slides. Okay, so you have three options to do the one-pager, and we'll go over that once I pass the worksheet out that gives you the directions. Okay, so for today's warm-up, let me pull up the warm-up, and then you guys can write your sentences for your warm-up. Alright, so we've been looking at simple sentences. So we're still looking at simple sentences, but another way to make a simple sentence more exciting, more interesting, is simply to add a phrase to it. Alright, so we're going to be looking at adding a phrase to a simple sentence. So again, remember your simple sentence. What must your simple sentence have? What should every simple sentence have? Every sentence has. What two components?
Predicate and the other thing.
Verb.
The verb is the predicate and the what?
The noun.
The subject or the noun. Okay, so every sentence you must have the subject and the predicate. So we're going to add on to the simple sentence with your subject and your predicate, we're going to add phrases. Okay, so phrases are simply a group of words that do not contain the subject-verb combination. So they're an incomplete sentence. All right. So, like, if you look at the examples, my cousin from England, okay, we don't know anything more, okay? You've only given us the subject, where they're from, but you haven't given us that verb, okay? So, what about your cousin? Okay, all 4 books in the series, okay? What about them? Again, you've given us the subject, you've given us the noun, the 4 books in the series, but what about the 4 books in the series? We're missing the verb. After eating all the cookies, okay? This is an adjective, okay? Like, what? I mean, it's happening, you're describing it. So after eating all the cookies, what? What happened? Okay, so we're still missing information. And then with the broken headlight, okay? So this is a description, so that's an adjective. So we're looking at this is just a description, but what is it that you are describing with the broken headlight? Okay, so these are phrases, they're just parts of a complete sentence, but in and of themselves, they're incomplete. But you can certainly add on to these phrases to make simple sentences. Okay, so we could add on to these. My cousin from England is here. Okay, so my cousin from England, add that verb, is here. All right, the second one, again, add the verb. I want to read all 4 books in the series. And then he felt sick. Okay, so here is your subject and your verb. Okay, he felt sick, and then it's your adverb after eating all of the cookies. Okay, and then the final one, our one with the car with the broken headlights, she drives the car. So again, you need to add the subject and the verb, and then that is just a clarifying, piece, that phrase, part of the sentence.
So
Yeah.
Those are all subject sentences?
These are all what?
Subject sentences. What did you say?
Okay, I said on the first one, you had to add the subject.
Oh, okay.
It was missing the noun, you had to add the verb, It was already containing the subject, okay? The second one, same thing. All 4 books in the series, you already had the subject, the noun. We had to add the verb, okay? And then the third one, he felt sick, that is a complete sentence on its own. He felt sick, that could stand alone. Okay, that would be a complete sentence, that would be a simple sentence. But if you have the adverb, you would have to add the adverb to a complete simple sentence. Alright, and then same thing here. She drives the car. That's a simple sentence. So you have your subject and verb in this example, but again with the adjective, you have to connect that adjective to a simple sentence. Does that make sense? Alright, so what you're going to be doing is on the Google Classroom, I've given you 3 phrases to complete. Okay, I've given you 3 phrases. You need to take those subject, the predicate, to those to create a complete sentence. Alright, so go ahead, you guys are going to take a few minutes to write the 3 sentences for your warm-up using the phrase. You guys have any questions on the warm-up? We good? Okay, so let's work for a few minutes and then we will move along.
Nice.
Alright, do we all have this completed, Freddie?
You got paper for the one page?
I'll give you paper if you want to do it.
Paper.
Yeah, if you want to do it handwritten, I have paper. Okay? Alright, so do we all finish the warm-up? Did y'all get it submitted? Wi-Fi is working good this morning?
That's
Woo-hoo.
pretty decent.
Pretty decent? I am excited about that.
Today's
Hopefully-
picture day, right?
What is it?
Today's picture day, right?
Yeah, you'll be going to take your picture with your history,
Period.
geography class, or whatever class you got for history. Alright, so for today, you are going to have the remainder of the period to work on your one pager. This is on the Google Classroom. It's under what I posted yesterday. I didn't add any more posts to today's Google Classroom because we're working still from yesterday's. Okay, so today you're going to complete the one pager. So if you go to yesterday's assignment link and you look at the DISC personality asset, whatever I labeled it, you'll find the 2 documents attached to it. The first document is what we did yesterday when you identified your personality type. So you'll want to retrieve that document. If you saved it on your Google Drive, you can pull it up. Or if you did it by hand in class yesterday, pull that out so you remember what your personality strengths were. And then on that document that is online, when you scroll through it, and I'll show you it, let me pull it up real quick, because we had internet issues yesterday. When you look at yesterday's assignment, hold on, give me a second, y'all, sorry. Okay, so yesterday's document we went through and you identified your personality strength, and then if you were column 1, you're a D, column 2, you're an I, column 3, you're an S, column 4, you're a C. So on this style, on the left-hand banner running down, these are all like the identifying information about your personality type. So if you go through this is where you'll find the information you can include in the one-pager. So if it says to identify strengths, please pay attention. If it says to identify strengths, maybe you're going to say that you're dominant in a strength that you work fast. Okay? So go through the document we were going over yesterday and identify 3 of your strengths. Okay? I mean, you can go through, bug bite might be one of your weaknesses. Okay? So go through because it's going to ask you to identify 3 strengths and 3 weaknesses. So this second page of the document, you can look through this. If you want to add your own to it, like you don't have to use the exact same wording here. Okay? So it says get security from control. You can say, likes to be in control. Likes to be in charge. Okay, so you can change the terms up a little bit, but you need to refer to this document to identify your strengths and your weaknesses. Okay, so let's look at what you're doing today. Okay? So your one-pager, it must be in color. Okay, so if you're doing it by hand, that's fine, but you've got to add color to it. Crayons, color pencils, markers, whatever you want to add to it to give it color. All right, because if you look at the walls, last year's we did a personality crest, and I just need you guys to add some color, some effort to your work so that when I print them out, when I display them, then we can identify each one. All right, so it must be in color. Does the whole thing have to be in color? No, but you've got to add color to it. All right, write your name at the bottom of the paper or the slide. So make sure that I can easily identify who this is. Because like I said, you can do a piece of paper, you can do a Google Doc, or you can do a slide. Make sure that your name is on the front. Like if you're doing a slide, it needs to be on the first slide. Make sure that your name's on it. You need to make it organized and presented clearly. Okay? So I should be able to look at it and identify each component. Either number it, give it a title, but it needs to be organized clearly. Legible, if you're writing it, and even that goes for the font on the computer, if you use a font, make sure the font is easily legible. Okay, don't do those really difficult, fonts that aren't even like real cursive, and I'm like struggling to read it. So make sure it's legible. Organize it so it makes sense. Be creative. Okay, put effort into this. And then number each of the 7 items in your report. All right, so each item needs to be numbered. You can number it, or you can give it like a title, but it needs to be numbered. You can say 7, and then give it a title. Okay, 6, give it a title. Okay, so what you're going to do, the first thing you're going to do is give your one-pager a catchy title. So if you were like a dominant personality, don't just say dominant determined, okay? You could be like, take charge Tara, okay? Give some type of a catchy title that relates to your personality type, okay? If you're influential, inspiring, you could say, enthusiastic Eric, okay? Make it go along with your personality type, okay? You need to have a title. You need to, then under your title, then you will include your specific personality type. But your title needs to, first be catchy, not just, Brianna, dominant, okay? Give it a catchy title. This will go under your title, okay? So that's the second thing. Scroll down, okay? Give descriptions, at least 3 strengths for you, for your communication type, and what they look like. Okay, so don't just say, I take control. What does that look like? You need to write a complete sentence that details what does that look like. Okay, so if you say, I take control, what does it look like? Okay, I don't wait for others to tell me what to do. I jump right in and, start working on my assignment, my work. Okay, number 5, you need to have a description of what do you bring to the table? What do you bring to working together? Maybe you're super organized, okay? So you can bring, include what you bring to the table, what strengths that you bring to working together. For example, things that your type does that others don't do. Okay, maybe you bring to the table, you are outspoken, you're not afraid to speak your mind. Okay, where others are a little more timid. Okay, so that could be one of your items that you bring to the table. So you need to have one of those, and then list 3 examples of how you need to be treated or dealt with. Okay, so again, you need to include I don't do well, people just, demand things from me, okay? I do well when, people, calmly, rationally, ask me to get a job done. And then the last thing, you need to draw 2 or more illustrations that express your communication style. So if you are compliant, okay, you need to have at least 2 pictures of what you think that looks like. All right, so 2 pictures on your 1-pager. Your 1-pager, spread it out so that it's a complete 1-pager. Okay, if you do a Google slide, you could fit everything on a Google slide. And then when I print it out, it'll print out the size of, a full piece of paper. So if you do your Google slide, you can do it on 1 page. If you do a Google Doc, do it on 1 page, spread it out so that it takes up the entire page. And then obviously if you do a regular piece of paper, spread it out so it takes up the entire piece of paper. Okay? Do y'all have any questions before I give you the time to release and do this for the remainder of the period? Okay. If you're going to do it on paper, I do have some art boxes. If they have a few supplies in them. So if you want to do it on blank paper, I have some supplies that you guys can use. Alright, so other than that, we're going to go ahead and we're going to get going. And I'll pass out your paper and blank paper if you're going to do it by hand.